I'm James, the Managing Director of Able Plumbing Solutions in Milton Keynes.
We've been working together for some time. What was your business situation when you first came to work with Ahead of Time?
I've worked in the business for around 5.5 years. The business was founded by Matt Holton. When I joined, the business had around sort of five or six members of staff. And over the period of time since then, the business has grown. We've put strategies in place, we've put processes and systems and everything else. But we sort of kept coming back, we kept moving forwards, but then we kept getting to sort of a plateau. And we were definitely in that position when I first started to talk to yourself, Will, back in May, where I just found no matter what we did, we just couldn't get that big push on. That was the time I heard something that you said and it really clicked with me. That's the position that I was in. And I thought from the comments that you made that, there'd definitely be some good synergy between yourself and ourselves to try and push forwards with our business.
And what was the feeling amongst the team and the senior leadership team at that point?
While we've done some amazing things in the business, there probably was a lack of communicated strategy to everybody. In a small business that's growing relatively quickly, there's probably not that clear segregation of you're doing this, you're doing that, you're accountable for this, you're accountable for that. And I think we've definitely fallen into that trap. And, I say it myself, since we've done this process, I look back and I was definitely falling into that category of busy fool. And I think some of the team were doing the same. Some of the stuff we worked on has definitely helped to really narrow down the focus and really crystallize who needs to be doing what, looking at people's skill sets and then also playing towards those skill sets in how we determine who's doing what and then also being able to give them the right support.
Had that impacted yourself, the team, on stress levels and well-being?
Definitely. Heard your talk just before we first started speaking. I was quite regularly doing 100 hours a week. Don't get me wrong, I love what I do and it didn't really feel like 100 hours a week. I love chatting to our clients, I love doing all this stuff, but it was definitely having a real bearing on my family life. I've put work over my family quite frequently and it really sort of made me think, well, why are you doing this when actually you could utilize this amazing team you've got in place already to help with that and to help with this. And it definitely did that because I was taking on maybe too much and not letting the rest of their team take on their responsibilities that they're more than capable of and they wanted to. That also puts more stress on them because they don't have all the information, so they can't make those decisions. So they're second guessing themselves. So actually, we'd thought for quite a long time about getting an external person in to give some insight. It's so difficult out there to do that because there's so many people on LinkedIn who go, oh, we're experts at this, we can advise you on this, we can advise you on that. And that was one of the first things I said to yourself back in May was, what is different? I could quite easily go and find this person who's this specialty in doing this and that and the other. I was looking to find someone that we could really build a good, strong relationship with that understood our needs. And also we could then work towards a common goal.
Broad understanding of SMEs. With my financial background, could you just talk a little bit about the finance side and how you've been supported on that?
You only know what you know. Over the time, we've really sort of built our internal processes and systems. But just having that fresh external opinion can give so much value added benefit. So while, I'd like to rate myself that we were doing a good job, there's always room for improvement. Why does a tennis player have a tennis coach? That tennis coach isn't necessarily better than them at playing tennis, but they're better at getting across how they can still improve. And we were definitely in that position. As a business, we're trying to be the best we can be. We're trying to use the best materials, get the right training and do all these things, but also we've got to work on the people within the business. And that's also supporting me and my team in what we do. So I've got a brilliant technical understanding of a lot of our stuff. But I joked with you early on, an integrated cash flow forecast and this sort of stuff is not my area of expertise. So having someone like yourself who's got such a good, strong finance background can really help support with that, along with the other members of your team in the training that we need and everything else to just keep moving the business forwards while we grow. And having the right foundations in place. There's no point in building a house on hay bales because it's just not gonna survive.
Take us through what the experience was like of working with Ahead of Time, would you?
From the start, it started off with a couple of things that you said in a speech that really rang true to me. That's what made me feel like we were quite well aligned on things. We then had a chat. We discussed what our current position was, how the things that you offer might be able to support with that and to help with that. I was just about to go on paternity leave, so there was a lot of change going on in the business already, and it was trying to think how we could structure that in the best possible way.
There was considerable time pressures, I remember.
Yes.
With the paternity leave coming pretty close. So it was quite an interesting time.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you guys, the support you gave at that period of time, you guys went well over and above what you needed to do from what we'd asked you to do and what we'd sort of contracted to do in order to support that. It really helped us work on that and move forwards.
What have the team said, if anything, about the experience, the coaching, their interaction, the training? Have they discussed it with you?
Everyone's really benefited from the interactions with all of your team. The coaching that I've had and also virtually all the members of the team have found it really beneficial. And I've really seen that change in them, and they've also commented that they've seen that change in others that they work with. We're very fortunate that we've got an amazing team. Unfortunately, I've worked in businesses that don't have a great team where everybody's working on the same side and towards the same goal. So we're very fortunate in that aspect that we've had their buy-in to keep pushing forwards and to keep wanting to do better. Also, the way that you guys have structured it has just really helped to deliver that and to keep pushing forwards and to keep the guys, keep them working towards what they want to be working to. And it's not just about being right at work, trying to make sure that they can deal with things that go on in life, which, if you've got stuff going on outside of work, unfortunately, no matter how strong you are, somehow that's going to reflect back into work. So if you can be helped with being supported with that, it does also help within the workplace. And a conversation I had with a few of them last week where they said, I've really noticed the difference in this person and this since we've done this process. For me, it just completely clarifies that we made the right call.
I think there's a real challenge into 2026, politically, economically, technologically. We don't know what's coming. And if you combine that with the well-being of your team at home, which, we cover not just how to be a better finance manager or receptionist, but how to cope with the challenges at home, they come in fresh and able to support. And next year is going to be challenging. And if you can have a resilient team with high well-being, then pivoting and taking advantage or surviving anything that's coming is it's of utmost importance.
I've had quite a few people since we started this process, because I speak with other people in my position around the country who, some of them use the same CRM as us, so we sort of have conversations. And I've mentioned it to a few and they sort of like question me, why have you done that? Why have you done the other? And I can quite comfortably answer back as to why we've done that. And as I say, that the return that we've had on from doing so verifies that. And I think other people are starting to then cotton on. We use the recruitment agency that we use. They sort of discuss it with the new employees, and that the new employees who are coming into the business who understand that think, well, this is different. Why are they doing that? Why aren't other people doing it? What does that look like? How's that going to help me? Oh, okay, that's going to help me that way. Right, that's the place I want to be. I don't want to go and work for those guys who are going to, flog me for the next 5 years. I want to go and work with the people who actually care about me, what we're doing, and then are going to support them.
The most recent recruit that we managed, one of the deciding factors was the coaching through to probation. It was very surprised that was something that was done. It was one of the reasons that we could get that high quality employee into the team. So it's great to see there's an impact. A biggest light bulb moment, if you like, as part of the process. What was something that was unexpected? What surprised you perhaps?
A lot of it was around the pressure to get things exactly in place and sorted for when I was on paternity leave. So I was going to have 6 weeks off. And before so much stuff just fell into my lap, for a business of 20 people, there was too much stuff coming to me. It didn't feel like it to me at the time, but again, that external third-party viewpoint made it clear that was not what needed to be happening. Coming back from 6 weeks off, after the coaching support from yourselves before I was off, coming back and hearing some of our best clients, and at the end of the day, they're sort of like friends to us all now. You work with someone for so long, be it a client, a supplier, whatever, and for them to give great feedback on the team, it just verified that the team can do this. And I think without your support and your team support with help, think about this, you've never really directly said you need to do this. It's always been about trying to guide us to the right answer and what's going to work for our business, what's going to work for us. And I think just the way you went about doing that has really energized our team to understand what they need to do. They feel better for it. So yes, they might actually be doing more than they were doing before, but actually they're enjoying that. They're taking it on and enjoying to do that. And then also the satisfaction of when it goes right, but also giving them that safe space that when it does go wrong, it's not going to be like, I'll see you later, you're out the door. And again, all of that's come from yourselves as to helping us along that process.
Yeah, thanks. I do think it's about an empowerment piece, though, James. You've taken it on board. The team have been empowered, and that's freed up your time
Mm.
which was the ultimate goal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So how can we maintain the positivity that Able have long term, and
Yeah.
ensure that resilience and well-being were maintained, but also profits? I think
Yeah.
that was the
Yeah.
biggest piece.
And I think I was just a yes man. That busy fool, yes man, yes, I'll say yes to everything. If I'm still up at 3 in the morning doing this stuff, when actually I started saying no to things, and the team, the first time were a bit surprised, the second time were a bit less surprised, and actually they took those things on board, did really, really well with them. Some of the stuff better to a better level than I would have done, because I wouldn't have had the time to give to do it 100%. So hopefully my 95% would have still been good enough. But actually, if we give somebody who's got the time, they can do it 100%. We're getting better results. I'm not still up at 4 in the morning. And also, we've got a team that can run when I want to go on holiday.
You've got a new child, of course you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Different reasons, though.
Yeah.
Any other results that you've seen that you've been particularly pleased with?
Some of the real gems from my side have been about the data and the information that we're looking at, and that is then how we can then structure and plan our steps moving forward. So looking into 2026, where before we, again, it's back to that sort of busy fools thing. We're now using, I'd like to think we used the numbers before, but maybe not the right numbers. And I think that's where certainly your input's been super valuable in what numbers should we actually be thinking about looking at. We've got so much data within our systems, but we're not utilizing that much of it because we're too busy quoting this or doing this and not chasing this. So by looking at some of these numbers, we're then in a position now where we can really start to drive the strategy for next year, focus on what we're good at, look at what we're not good at, and then we can actually look at improving that. We've got a much clearer set on where we're going to be going, what we're going to be doing. Nothing drastic's going to change, but all these improvements along the way are just going to give much better long-term results. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, pleasure. Turning data into info and then using that info for supporting the strategy. It's that's 2026. The simplicity of some things, but the benefit. Yeah, the 515 reporting? Could you just touch on that?
So Matt is the founder of Able Plumbing. He's run it since 2008. He's an amazing engineer. He's amazing at a lot of the things that he does. But he always said to me from early on, he didn't want to do the day-to-day running of the business. And that's one of the reasons why he employed me back in 2020. But one of the things that we struggled with a bit was what information does he want? How does he want it? And everything else. And again, you guys came in and gave a really good, you just got really quickly, you got a really good understanding of how I work, how Matt works, how other members of the team work. And you made a suggestion as to how we can give the relevant people this information that they need to have. So myself and Matt, we've now got a structure in place where we have planned meetings once a week. I do what we call a 515 report. What have we achieved this week, or what have I achieved this week? What's not really gone to plan? What do I need to be doing? And what support do I need, or what dependencies are there within the business to stop me from being able to do those things? And I think that just gives Matt that really good highline summary, because a lot of the time he's got his head under a boiler. He's going to an emergency call out at midnight, and all the rest of the stuff that he's really good at doing and he enjoys doing. But then also leaves me to the stuff that I'm good at doing and I enjoy doing, and stuff that we just hadn't done before. And that then, where we weren't doing that for years before, there was always a little bit of conflict where he thinks I'm doing this, but I'm actually doing that. Or we've discussed something but not covered it clear enough. And these things just give us the things that we then need to discuss next time we're sitting down to discuss the business strategy, plans, and everything else. So they've certainly worked really well for us, and we've now started to do it with the other team members in the office.
Them all filtering to you.
Yeah, and it just keeps everyone. It gives somebody, if you write something down and you say, yeah, next week I'm going to do this. I'd sit down back at the end of the following week to write up my one from that week, and I'd look back at my one before and go, I've not done that, or why haven't I? What's gone wrong? What can I do to stop that happening again? And so some of them are, some of them not ask difficult questions, but some of them are a bit tricky. You sit there on a Friday and you go, why haven't I done 3 of the 5 things I set out to do this week?
The most important things for us. Why? It brings you back.
Yeah. But then it also gives you that opportunity to learn from it for the next week. So you go, okay, well, actually, I've messed up there. That was supposed to be my number one, but actually, that's happened and this has happened and the other's happened. And it keeps your brain thinking about how to constantly keep improving. So sometimes it's only really minor little corrections, but all of those added together in a few years, you're then in a very different place to where you were beforehand by not making any changes. For me, that's always been really important. I've always tried to be like that rather than making huge rash decisions and changing loads of things. Just keep constantly evolving and tweaking. And that 515 has definitely helped us to do that.
We've avoided some bad hires, perhaps, that look good in interview. How that's
Yeah,
helped?
definitely. I mean, recruitment in our industry, and I think from what I hear from other people, it's an issue through all industries, but in the plumbing and heating industry, we certainly struggle with recruitment. There's a real shortage of talent out there. The really good ones, like Matt, go off and set up their own business. There are guys out there that are good that are working for the businesses, but it's trying to find them. It's trying to draw them in. It's trying to make them feel safe and comfortable, certainly if they're leaving a job that they've already got. So yeah, we partnered alongside your recruitment consultants, and they took the time to really understand what we were looking for. As part of this sort of people process that we're doing, we're looking in, the process uses our skills check to make sure that they're in line with what we need. Then we make sure that that's going to stack up salary wise, so we're not wasting anyone's time. We've got to make sure that the numbers work for us. We're looking at the psychometric profile of those people, which again I get sort of asked quite frequently, why are you bothering with this? That's the sort of thing you want to be doing, for high level execs. But actually, for us as a business, probably 80% of our work is for high net worth individuals. We've got to make sure we're putting not just a good engineer into those properties, but also somebody who can communicate well, trustworthy. If something goes wrong, you've got to be able to handle that situation in the right way. If mistakes happen in any industry, but in our industry, mistakes can mean a ceiling coming through with water flying through. You've got to be able to deal with those kind of problems, which are going to happen at some point in life, and think about dealing with it in the right way, then communicating it to the customer in the right way, managing it back to the office. The process with yourselves with the psychometric test has really helped with that. Along the way, we've come up with so many ideas to tweak and how to keep improving this. So now we've got a new way that we onboard new members of staff in terms of the trial and in terms of the way that we then do things. And all of that's come from the collaboration between ourselves to try and make sure that we're getting these things right. And so far, working really well.
As well as getting the right people, I remember tricky conversations we were having regarding a particular recruit where we were saying, no, it's not the right recruit. Although they look good on paper and look good in interview. Yeah, it was a tricky one to say no.
It was, but when I look back in hindsight, again, when you actually have that bit of breathing space and you move back away from it, 100% it's the right decision. And I think that's where in the past, as a small business that needs staff and sometimes needs them quickly, when you're growing, it's so easy to just say yes and oh yeah, we'll make that person fit that role. One of your things, square peg in a round hole, and we've spent too long doing that. And, now with the process we've now got, we're not going to have that moving forwards.
We've seen the positive return on investment of you spent with us. And I think there's, that's going to be accentuated as we move into 2026. So we're looking forward to supporting you, James.
No, yeah, thank you. And thanks for everything that you and the rest of your team do. It's really appreciated. And I know the rest of our team feel exactly the same. So.